Okay, the setup has changed a little bit. Happy New Year. As you can see, the setup has changed just a little bit since the last video. I upgraded some camera equipment. I now have this little thing, which is super fun, and I don't really know how to hold it, to be honest. I could clip it on somewhere like here, but I don't know if I can really be bothered right now. So we're gonna hold it and we're gonna see how that goes. And the sound quality is great because I've tested it already, so hopefully it links up to the camera, otherwise we're in big trouble. I have also upgraded my lens. I love photography. I've loved photography for a long time, and my Nikon camera has a couple of lenses, but unfortunately they don't fit with this camera, my Canon. And the reason I bought this camera was for video and photography purposes that didn't involve me taking like a big massive thing around. But I upgraded my lenses on Black Friday. So now I have a wide angle lens, I have a portrait lens, which makes me really excited because I can now do portrait photography again with this camera. And I feel like this is nice, right? This is nice. It's also nice to be holding something. It's so cute. Look how cute this is. So tiny, so tiny. Anyway, Happy New Year. It's now 2025 officially. I'm filming this on New Year's Day. It's the first day of 2025 today, which is super exciting. And I just can't believe we're here. I can't believe that I'm going into a new year making a YouTube video. I wanted to start this last year. I didn't start making any videos until October, and here we are. And there's like 100 of you guys. I think I was at 120 last night when I checked. So thank you if you're coming on this journey with me. It means an awful lot. It means an awful lot that you're here and that I have people to chat to about books. Even if nobody watches, I like to yap. So here's to another yapping book-filled 2025. I will be filming a proper video about my sort of goals and my reading goals from 2024. To put it sort of lightly, I read 114 books. That's pretty big. That is pretty big. But today we are going to talk about the books I read in December, because this is my December wrap-up video. And I have a little pile right here beside me. I've got my little pile of books, and we are going to chat about them. I feel like I should be singing into this microphone. I'm not gonna, because nobody wants to hear that, but maybe one day I'll just like burst into opera. Who knows? Okay, let's talk about December. Let's talk about the books in December. December is a festive period, and I read some festive books. So I'm gonna grab them up on my phone, because most of the festive books that I read on my Kindle. I didn't actually read them. Let's begin. So, in December, I read 5 novellas and 10 books. So, all 5 novellas were Christmas-based, and 4 out of the 10 books were also Christmas-based. So, my aim initially for December was to read a load of festive reads. I initially wasn't going to read any normal reads at all. I found myself getting very, very bored very, very quickly of festive books. So instead, we switched. Once I got the festivities out of the way, I totally switched and went back into like my normal reading routine. So let's talk about the novellas first. So 4 out of the 5 novellas I read were the first 4 novellas of the Under the Mistletoe series. So the Under the Mistletoe series is a series that I think Amazon have done, and they have got different romance authors to write different festive novellas. So I read Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood, Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey, All by My Elf by Olivia Dade, and Merriment and Mayhem by Alexandra Belfleur. I will be honest, if you'd like to see me reading these books, I do have a vlog up on my channel of reading festive romance books. I don't remember anything that happened to any of these novellas, and I don't think I actually rated any of them any more than a 2 or 3 star. They were not that great. I don't know whether I am just not a novella person because they're so short and I like more world building, I like more depth, but they went to 0 to 100 really fast. Like way faster than any other novella I've ever read, and I just wasn't that into them. So I think next year I'll stick to Christmas books, not Christmas novellas. And the second I would say second novella, but it is technically the 5th one that I read, was Monster Claws, or Dear Monster Claws by Maeve Black. and this was our podcast Unhinged Christmas Novella for our Christmas Novella episode. That's up. I'll leave it linked below. It was so much fun. I think I've spoken about this before. I like a little bit of spice. I am very, maybe vanilla with a little bit of cinnamon. If anyone's read Fourth Wing, that's probably like the right spice level for me. This is a little bit too spicy. For me personally, and like no shame to anyone who loves the spice, because Crimson and Molly, I believe Crimson really enjoyed it and Molly didn't mind it, so it's personal preference. I'm not a spicy gal. It was definitely spicier than I wanted. It was good. I liked learning, and this made everyone laugh when I told them about this. I loved the world building. I loved learning about the different types of creatures and characters that we got. I loved like the in-depth thinking of the characters, but I just didn't loved the actual main part of the book. Nothing really more to be said there, I guess. If you like a spicy, fun time, maybe give it a go. It could be for you. So that brings us on to the actual books then that I read this year. So I've got some physical copies here, and I read some on my Kindle as well. So the first book I read festivity-wise was Love Like Farms by B.K. Borson. This was so wholesome, and I only read the first one in the series. I definitely want to get to the rest of them. I rated this 4.75 stars. It was almost 5 stars. The reason I didn't give it totally 5 stars is that I can't really remember much that happened, but this happens with a lot of romance books for me, not just this one. So I really liked it. It was really cute. It was a friends to lovers. It was fake dating. There's a Christmas tree farm. There's a little bit of a mystery because someone's sabotaging the Christmas tree farm. There was bets placed on whether our characters would get together. It was lovely. Heavily recommend. It was really nice. So the next 2 books that I do have the physical copies. So the rest of the Christmas reads are physical copies. I have learnt a very valuable lesson, and the lesson is to stop buying random books from the works, because 9 times out of 10 they're going to be rubbish. That's a New Year's resolution for next year. I've decided I'm not going to buy random books from the works unless I 100% know what I'm getting myself into, because I did waste a little bit of money. But let's chat about them. So the first book I picked up, this was the better of the 2 works books that I picked up, and this was The Gingerbread Christmas Village by Kylie Dunbar. This was cute. Little town in the Cotswolds called Wheaton, and in Wheaton they do a gingerbread Christmas village where they make this Christmas village totally out of gingerbread, and it's this big thing that parents bring their kids to go and look at it. And the main character's mum used to do it, and now she does it, and it seems to be in the new modern age not as popular, so it's all about her and a couple of her friends trying to make this Christmas village, and she falls in love, and it's really sweet, and she's humming and hawing about leaving the town and moving into the city to be with her family, and it's nice. This one was a 3-star. It was okay. It wasn't fantastic, but it was fine. The next book that I have then was Christmas at the Cat Cafe by Jessica Redland. This again, not a bad cover. Not a bad cover. This was a 2-star book for me. It was massive. Now, it was festive in the fact that Christmas is mentioned and they go to a tree lighting ceremony. The rest of it, not so much. It's about a girl called Tabby. Her boyfriend Leon leaves her and she opens a cat cafe. Now, she has fibromyalgia, I believe, if I can remember rightly. She has a chronic illness, which was nice because as someone who has a chronic illness and doesn't leave the house that often, it was really nice to see that represented in a Christmas book with the hustle and bustle of also opening a new business and sort of pushing yourself. It used the spoon theory quite a lot, which was great, but at the same time did make me a little sad. I feel like for a Christmas book it was more focused on her diagnosis and her medical condition than Christmas itself. It was more focused on that than the romance. It was more focused on that than the festivities, the cat cafe. It was the forefront. And don't get me wrong, like, I don't mind that. Like, I think it's fine. If I was in the right mindset for it, I'd probably love this book. But whenever I'm in for some feel-good Christmas romance, it was there, but it wasn't great. So 2-star for this one. It is being donated as well. Now, the next book I did give a 4-star to, and that was The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore. I have very mixed reviews about the Dream Harbor. Is that what it's called? Dream Harbor? Yeah, the Dream Harbor series. I have very mixed reviews about the Dream Harbor series. I gave the Pumpkin Spice Cafe a 4-star, but the bookstore one, the Cinnamon Bun bookstore, got a 2-star from me. I didn't enjoy it. This one was a 4, so we've shot back up again. It wasn't a 5, but I think this would be one that I would consider rereading. I like the front cover. It's sparkly. It's nice. It's wholesome. It was a good time read. I actually really like the characters in this one too. Kira, who hates Christmas, decides to open a Christmas tree farm. She wants to do this whole big thing by herself. She wants to be one of those like Instagram dream home gals who like pickles things in jars and has crocheted kitchen table decorations and whatnot. And she wants to fix this Christmas tree farm up, but she's not very sociable. But she falls in love with a sociable man with a big family and lots of friends, and it's very wholesome. Definitely would recommend reading this for the Christmas season. So those are all of the Christmas books that I read. Now I want to talk about the other books because at that point I gave up. I didn't want to read any more Christmas books, and who could blame me? That was an awful lot. I wanted something normal, and boy did I read some books that were not Christmas related this season. So let's start with some romance. I read the first 2 books in the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. Elle Kennedy is an author I've always wanted to try. She is very big into sports romance and hockey romance, I believe. So I read The Deal, which was Hannah and Garrett, and also The Mistake, which was Logan and Grace. First book, 5 stars. Second book, also 5 stars. I really want to read the rest of the series. I do know that there is the Off-Campus series, which is 5. I have all 5 of them. I've only read 2 of them so far. Then there is the Briar U series. There looks like there's 4 of those. Avalon Bay. It looks like there's currently 3 Prep series and the Outlaw series. I'm looking at the inside of the book right now. I'm really excited about this. I'm actually really, really impressed. I didn't realize like what a hockey romance girl that I was because I didn't necessarily like Icebreaker. I gave it a 3-star, but this was my bread and butter. It was so good, and I'll definitely reread these. So one of my goals for next year is to continue this series, and it is to read all of Elle Kennedy's books because I read these in like a day each. It took me 2 days to read 2 books. I've started the 3rd one, so that'll probably be finished tonight. And it was amazing. It was so good. That's all I'm going to say. Definitely pick these up. They were absolutely fantastic. Moving into the fantasy genre, then, I finally picked up A Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This has been on my list for a while. It is about a girl called Elizabeth, and she was raised in a great library. These great libraries are like mythical things. They have like relics and grimoires that they do bad things. But this was really good, and it's about a romance between her and a guy called Nathaniel, and he is a magic user, and she's been told her whole life magic users are bad. Don't go near them, don't touch them, don't look at them, run away. So of course they fall in love, and their love story was so wholesome. I loved it. It was very sweet, very cozy, and this was just a lovely cozy book to pick up and read in my reading chair, because I have a reading chair now. It's behind me. It's got the ghost on it. You'll see me sitting there in future videos, but I love it. I picked it up just as a Christmas treat to myself, and I read this whole thing in 2 days, so recommend. So then I read some hardbacks. I'll leave the best to last, but I did finally pick up All the Devils by Caitlin Wilson. I think her name's Caitlin, actually, now that I'm reading that. But this is good. This year, the students at Ravenswood will be raising hell. This was dark academia. It was witchy. It had forests and the afterlife, and it had like demons and gods and rituals. It's about the main girl in this, her sister. So Andy. So Andy is the main protagonist, and her sister Violet ties. And at the very start, this isn't a spoiler because it is at the very beginning of the book. She realizes, I'm not going to tell you how, but she realizes that the person in the coffin is not her sister. So she begs and begs and begs and goes to the school, this really pretentious boarding school, to see what happened to her sister because she wants to find out. And I was absolutely gripped. I picked this up from a bookstore this month and read the whole thing in December. It didn't sit on my shelf like most of my books usually do. This was an immediate pickup and it was very, very good. 5 stars from me. Second to last then, if you saw my January TBR jar picks my January reads from last week, you'll see that this was on it. I have now read this. I read this in the last 2 days of 2024. I couldn't wait to pick it up, and I realised if I read 100 pages of my TBR for January every day, I wouldn't get through them all. So I picked this one up early, and I'm so glad that I did. Carissa Broadbent has been such a wonderful, wonderful find for 2024. I have adored every book of hers that I've picked up. I really want to read Daughter of No Worlds and Slaying the Vampire Conqueror in 2025. But Songbird and the Heart of Stone is I would say the 3rd book in the Crowns of Naxia series, but it technically is like the 1st book in the 2nd duology, if that makes sense. It follows one of the characters from the 1st books, but it's like her own journey. It was very lovely. It is a romance. There's a lot of battling your inner thoughts and your inner turmoil and learning what's right. Of course, it's got vampires, and this time they travel to the underworld, so that's fun. I heavily enjoyed it. 5 stars. As per all her other books, I rated this one 5 stars. So Carissa Broadbent has not failed me yet, and hopefully in 2025 she doesn't fail me either. Okay, and the last book then that I read in 2024 was none other than a reread of Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing. Let's talk Fourth Wing. I tabbed this book. How beautiful is this? Stunning. I was going to make an in-depth video rereading Fourth Wing and Iron Flame and giving my total thoughts before Onyx Storm comes out, but I started filming and then I got hooked by the book, as you do, and didn't film any updates. So we're not doing that. We scrapped that idea. But if you would like to talk about Iron Flame or Fourth Wing before Onyx Storm, please reach out because that would be super fun and I need folks to chat to. So 5 stars. Still a 5-star read. I've read this 3 times. Still a 5-star. This is the first time I've actually tabbed a book ever, and I feel like it was such a fun experience. I learned a lot this time from this book. I realised a lot of things. I realised a lot of foreshadowing now that I've read the 1st and 2nd book. I realised a lot of foreshadowing. I realised and read things that I didn't remember happening, but actually are very impactful to the plot. And Rebecca Yarros is a genius. Nothing more to be said. 5 stars for this. In January, I'm sure by the end of January, I will have read Iron Flame and tabbed that one, but also Onyx Storm because it comes out in 20 days. I'm super excited. I need that book in my hands, guys. I just need it right now. Immediately. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Anyway, so those were all of the books that I read in January. Now we're in January. Those are all the books I read in December, and I had such a good reading month. I read more than I ever have. I was slamming the books out at the end of the year. Slamming. It was book after book after book after book, especially in the last week, and I ended up surpassing my reading goal. It was 50, then it was 75, then it was 100, and I read 114. So whether you read 1 book, 10 books, 50 books, more than 100 books, because the fact that I'm pretty sure Molly, podcast host Molly, is on like 185 or something like that. It's crazy. Whether you read 1 book or lots of books, or didn't even finish a book, even if you read like 2 pages, that is an impressive feat for the year because you did more than nothing, and that is important. If you would like to know a little bit more about what my reading goal is going to be for next year, or any books that I'm on hauling, or just my goals and bits and bobs for next year, I will be making another couple of videos soon. But I hope that you have a lovely week, and I will speak to you in the next video. Bye everyone.